Hello, everybody. This is Cryptid and Critters Paranormal. I'm your host, the Deuster. The following is from a live radio interview with Will Cody of WFKN in Franklin, Kentucky. This interview was held on January the 3rd of this year, and evidently Will forgot to hit the record button when we started, and missed several seconds of the interview, and I'm going to attempt to edit this file to add what is actually missing at the first part of it. Of course, the introduction is missing, and his first question to me was how I got interested in the Mantell incident. I told him that I worked at Brown Printing in Franklin for 10 years and had never heard of the crash until I saw the memorial marker. And that's what actually sparked my interest in the Mantell case. Went by the crash site several times and didn't realize what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Cracker Barrel one day, and I saw the marker out there, and I got to reading about it. I thought, this is interesting, so I did more research on it, and I started writing my book. And then we had the Thomas Mantell Day last year.
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet Terry Mantell, his grandson. Of course, Eric, he's a school teacher in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
He had to join us on a Zoom call.
That got a lot of news coverage that day, Thomas Mantell Day.
It really did. And so I gave him what I'd been working on so far, and we just kind of expanded it from there. The first book I did on the Mantell was called Eye in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
And it involved a lot of important UFO cases in the country. But over half of the book itself is just on the Mantell case. And after I got doing more research, I thought, I found a lot more stuff, that I need to put out. So I did this one book, 12 O'Clock High.
Mm-hmm.
And it's strictly on Mantell. That's all, strictly on Mantell. I found, I got every photo I could find, every newspaper article, every kind of article I could find about it. I've even got the Project Blue Book files. They're all included with the book. The book is almost 450 pages, so it's a lot of information, a lot of photos and eyewitness accounts and things like that. So there's quite a bit of information out there about it, But this is, they've told me this is the largest, I guess the most thorough research anybody's done on the case as far as putting it in a book. So.
Now, Captain Mantell, he was born in Franklin, correct?
Right. He was born in Franklin. It's kind of odd. His parents did not live in Franklin. They lived up next to Rich Pond.
Okay.
And they were in Franklinville, close to Franklin, visiting friends. And she went into labor.
Really?
He brought her to the nearest hospital, which was the Southern Kentucky Hospital and Sanitarium here in Franklin. And I do have pictures of that in the book, too.
Okay.
Got them from the History Center. Mr. Snyder was kind enough to let me borrow those. In fact, this whole book would not be possible if it hadn't been for Billy and James Henry at the History Center. They even copied the whole complete Mantell file for me and put it on a jump drive. So I got it home on my computer, which saved me a lot of driving back and forth up here. So I certainly appreciate that. He was born the next day, and in 1922, and then they went back home, And as far as I know, the only two times he was in Franklin was when he was born and when he passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of ironic.
Yeah, no kidding.
It is. It really is.
But he joined the Air Force, served in World War II, correct?
Right.
And
he was a highly decorated World War II pilot. He flew a C-47 Skytrain on the Normandy D-Day. Mm-hmm. He was towing gliders to the landing zone. The last one he went out on, he come under heavy anti-aircraft fire, and the flak from one of the explosions almost took off the whole tail section of the plane. It ripped a big hole in the back of the plane, cut all the control cables except for one. The plane was on fire. He was towing a glider full of men and equipment, Mm-hmm. And so he he was able to, and all this was going on, his mechanics were trying to fix the control cables. They were trying to get the fire put out, and he's trying to keep this plane under control.
Gosh.
The left wing of the plane got totally destroyed. It only had basically one wing when he finally got, and he knowing the whole time, he's using this glider as drag to uphold this plane under control. And if what's going through his mind at the time is, what's going to happen when I release this glider?
Right.
Is it, what's going to happen? Am I going to be able to maintain control? Which he did. He got to the landing zone, unhooked from the glider, and went back to fly the 100 miles back to base.
Unbelievable.
And when he got back, and they had planes parked on both sides of the runway when he landed, and their main concern was when he come in, was he going to be able to maintain control of the plane when he hit the runway without destroying a bunch of planes in the process. He was able to land the plane with no further damage, and they come out and inspected the plane when he got it landed and said it was, they declared it unflyable and didn't know how he even got it back to base. And for that, he got the Distinguished Flying Cross.
Well, good. I mean, what an experience.
And then he's got like 9 or 10 more medals too. So it's he was highly decorated. He wasn't just a crop duster out flying around looking for a thrill or something.
And then he joined the Kentucky Air National Guard after that, right? When he came back.
When he came home, he opened his own flight school.
Okay.
In Louisville, and. That wasn't enough for him. He still loved flying. He had loved flying since he was, since he was a young kid. Yeah. They said he had planes, model planes hanging off his ceiling at the house, things like that. But he, I said he joined the Air Guard after that. I reckon he's one of the first members of it. I reckon he joined pretty early, and that's when on January the 6th, the day before the crash, a plane took off from Standiford Airfield in Louisville and going to Marietta, Georgia. There was 4 P-51 Mustangs down there that had been grounded for bad weather. I'm still trying to figure out how those planes got down there, who took them there, and why they were. I know they were left for weather, but why they were taken from Louisville down to Georgia for service, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But anyway, the plane took off with there was Captain Mantell and 3 of his wingmen was with him. I was trying to find my little note here with their names on it. There was Clements, Hammond, and Hendricks.
Okay.
Were his wingmen. And but anyway, they flew down there to bring these planes back. It's just a routine mission, and he's going to use that as a training mission for them. He was an instructor.
Where was this at again?
They left Marietta, Georgia.
Marietta, Georgia. Okay.
Yeah, they left Louisville and went to Marietta, Georgia.
Okay.
Spent the night. Next morning, got up and got the planes prepped, ready to go and all. And that's another question too. It kind of bugs me. Were those planes actually assigned to each one of those pilots? Or was it just a random pick? You take that one, I'll take this one,
Sure.
And, you take this one. Because one of them had oxygen.
Only one of them did?
Only one plane had oxygen. Now, what would have happened if Mantell had got that plane that had the oxygen tank?
No kidding, yeah.
So, he crashed for lack of oxygen.
Right.
So what would have happened?
Set the scene a little bit about of this day, January 7th, 1948.
Right.
What time was the crash? It was in the afternoon?
The crash was about 3:15, 3:18. His watch, I think, was stopped at 3:18.
Okay.
So it's somewhere in that time. So
how did that day start? What were they doing?
All right, they left Marietta, Georgia, bringing these planes back to Louisville.
Yeah.
They approached Fort Knox, and anyway, Fort Knox, they had been seeing this UFO, this unidentified object. And several of the higher-up generals could not identify what this thing was. There were several descriptions of it, Some of them described it as being like an upside-down ice cream cone, something like that, which that would kind of, and then the ice cream cone would have the shape of one of those weather balloons, we talked about. But they were coming back, and then this UFO was sighted over Fort Knox, and Sergeant Blackwell was he was the operator of the control tower. He's the first one that noticed it, and he called up the other generals up to look at it, see if they could identify it. So they got close to they were going to dispatch some planes to go check it out, and then they realized, here come Captain Mantell and 3 more planes coming in from Georgia. So they more or less just kind of rerouted them and told them to go check it out if they had enough fuel.
Wow, yeah.
One of them, Hammond's, I think that back Hendricks. Hendricks didn't have enough fuel, and he went back to his base.
Okay.
They turned him loose, let him go. The other 3, they took off, and I reckon Captain Mantell's plane must have been the fastest plane in the bunch, because he took off, and they had trouble him keeping up with him.
Yeah.
And he sees it as he reports it, and that's where the name of my book come from. He says 12 o'clock high. He asked what they were looking at, where it was at, and he says 12 o'clock high. And the rest of them see it, and they're taking off after it. The other 2 realized they were going too high for the oxygen, so they dropped back. Now there's a bunch of controversy about that, why they came back. Some of them says Mantell sent them back for hot guns, to get loaded, get their weapons loaded. Some of them say they just dropped out because they,
Yeah.
no oxygen.
We got to be prepared for anything at that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I'm hoping this archaeological dig we do, I hope it will prove something. I don't know if he had hot guns or not. He asked for hot guns, according to Blackwell. Of course, those radio transmissions are non-existent now. We don't. There's no backup of them.
I was about to ask. I mean, was there any other radio transmission from Captain Mantell there? I mean, when he's staring this thing right at
Actually, he says there was one of the thing he said was it was large and metallic, had like an observation deck or something on it, and he was going in for a closer look. And then one of the other transmissions he's supposed to have made was, oh my God, I see people in it,
Yeah.
So,
wow. Okay.
But then they're saying also he was getting running without low oxygen. He may have been hallucinating. So it's all kind of. But anyway, he went up too high, right oxygen, and he went up. They say about 30,000 feet.
Wow.
And this plane leveled itself off, and when he slumped forward on the controls, it come into a steep nosedive.
Yeah.
And it's coming down wide open. All the newspaper reports I read said the plane exploded, and I'm gonna disagree with all of them because what they heard was one of 2 things, or maybe both things. He's coming down free air. The engine's running wide open. He's got the controls wide open. He slumped over the controls, got the throttle wide open. He's coming down, and and it's a known fact that Mach 0.8. The tail section of the P-51 Mustang will go to vibrating real bad. In fact, if it vibrates enough that it will shear the rivets out and the tail section will fall off. The tail section fell off of this plane several hundred yards from where it landed.
Okay.
So we know the tail section came off the plane. And I'd like to find that tail section. It was recovered by the government. Supposedly some students from Western Kentucky took it back with them. And I'd like to know where it's at. I'd love to find it.
No doubt, yeah.
But anyway, one of the wings breaks off on the way down. This plane just comes apart on the way down. They found a fuel tank probably a quarter mile away from a crash site, and a few things like that. The canopy blew off of it. He was partially decapitated, top of his head, part of his skull, and it was took off by the canopy. The undertaker, there was only that arrived on the scene to do the autopsy. Said that his body was nothing but a bag of mush. All that was holding him together was his flight suit, and every bone in his body was shattered.
Coming down from 30,000 feet. I mean, that by far exceeds the max altitude of one of these planes. I mean, that's
yeah. So he, but anyway, I tried to find the autopsy report, and nobody can seem to locate it. I don't know. I thought it may have been done here. We thought it had been done here in Franklin, since it occurred here, but they sent the body back to Louisville.
Yeah, that's where he's buried, correct?
Right. Right.
Okay.
And we went out to the crash site with the ground penetrating radar, trying to do a little more research on it. And we know from all the eyewitness accounts that the plane was picked up and loaded on trucks and brought out to the road. We did take the radar, and we did find the tracks that the trucks made, coming out of the field. We did find a section of fence that had been took out and put back where they brought them out. There's a lot of new growth trees there, where they cut the old trees down. And we got it pretty much nailed down exactly where it was at. It's 3 feet. What we found, the debris field is mostly 3 feet deep where they buried it with a dozer. And we're going to try to excavate that and see what we can find.
They've never had this kind of equipment out there before. I mean, you got Billy Wilkerson with his ground penetrating radar.
Right.
I think you can uncover a lot of mystery there, I think. Here's hoping, at least. Well, it's what was kind of the idea around UFOs at the time in the 40s? I mean, it was very.
This happened. There was the UFO, the crash in Roswell. Actually, there was 2 spaceships crashed, one on one side of the mountain, one on the other. It was 6 months after Roswell, and everybody had these UFOs on their mind. Everything that was seen, any weather balloon or whatever they had seen or whatever, was contributing. This was a UFO. In fact, there was actually the day that Mantell crashed, there was actually this ball of fire was sighted here in Franklin. That day. Several people saw it. There was a. And this is the first case. Of course, it was Project Grudge, Project Sign, Project Saucer, and then Project Blue Book came after that. When Project Blue Book was formed, the Mantell case was the first case they picked up to research on, and they still say it was a weather balloon. They first said it was he was chasing Venus. And that went on for like 2 years. That Hynek, I think, was the one that come up with that idea. And then when the other guy took over, Ruppelt took over the Project Blue Book, that was one of the first things he went back and looked at. But everybody said that the way the plane crashed was it wasn't right. Something wasn't right about the crash. He had never seen a crash where the plane just come in and what he called belly flopped into the clearing, And it was we've took some of the photos and kind of enhanced them a little bit where you can see a little more, And the plane was landed on its right side. And both wings were broke off of it. The tail section was gone. The canopy was missing, So it was a pretty horrific crash.
I mean, the conspiracy theories around this had to be huge. I mean, I read one earlier this morning that said that it was alien life in the UFO that felt threatened, so they shot the plane. Now, what's the craziest theory that you've heard regarding this crash?
Like I said, they finally come out and said it was a skyhook weather balloon. That it was top secret at the time. Nobody, even the top military. This was a Navy project. The top Army or Air Force didn't even know about it. Didn't know about this thing, That's what they say he was chasing. The skyhook was different from a regular balloon. They put just enough. It was like a big bag, maybe 100 feet long or something like that. They put just enough either hydrogen or helium or whatever in it just to get it airborne. And once it went up in the atmosphere, it would expand as the atmosphere pressure changed. It would expand, And it was supposed to expand up to about 100 feet wide. They say, And like I said, I don't know. I don't think it was a balloon. I did a little investigation there's one piece of the plane at the History Center a little small, maybe about a 6-inch circle.
Really?
Or
Okay. I know
like
they have an exhibit set up, but I didn't know what.
They have a great exhibit set up. Great exhibit. In fact, they have done a wonderful job down there at the History Center. I got to give them kudos for that.
Yeah.
But I brought my. There was a rumor going around that it was radioactive.
Yeah.
You know, there's rumors going around that it was shot full of bullet holes. The plane was full of bullet holes. It was radioactive, and I took my Geiger counter to the History Center one day, and this piece is in a display case, and I was about a foot away from this piece and directly in front of it, and my Geiger counter got to climbing. It went up to like 68 counts, per minute, which is not dangerous or anything, but it's letting you know that there is some radioactivity there. Now, where that come from, I have no idea. You know, if one theory is that this UFO that he was chasing, he got real close to it, and when it was kind of leading him on where they were talking, it would speed up, and then he would get up close to it, and it would take off again.
Really?
So they say he got too close to it, and the propulsion wash from this thing's engine or whatever, more or less just hit him. And that's what took his plane out. That's one theory.
So they just happened to be flying back, and they spot this UFO. It could have been any other,
right? Exactly.
Anyone else?
Yeah, exactly.
But it was Captain Thomas Mantell Jr. and born in Franklin, passed away, crashed in Franklin. Right. I can't believe that. And if someone's unfamiliar, where is the crash site here in Franklin?
I'm not going to give out the exact location, but it is. It's off of Lake Springs Road and Witt Road. Okay. In that area.
And I'm excited to hear what you all uncover with that.
We were going to wait till, because Small Town Monsters is doing a documentary on this.
Yeah.
It's going to be released sometime this year, later on in the year. They wanted to do my book. Yeah. And I just couldn't agree with the terms they wanted as far on the contract. I didn't want to give up complete control of my book. But God, where I was going with this now.
I know, the marker, I know you obviously can't give away the exact location of the crash site, but where's the marker?
Right, the marker is just north of I-65,
right?
There by the Cracker Barrel.
Okay.
There's a little building that used to be the Simpson County Tourism.
Yeah.
It's their bed.
Okay.
It was in real bad shape, and I took it upon myself to go kind of clean it up and straighten it up, and it looks like a new one now.
That's perfect.
It looks good now, but it was the least I could do. He was a true American hero,
Absolutely.
And
he's I mean, it's a huge part of Simpson County's history.
Oh, yes, it is, yes.
I'm still fairly new in this community, but I know that's something I ought to know about. And I know they've done a great job at the History Center, and you will be there Saturday, coming Saturday. What time are you doing your signing?
It'll be from 10 o'clock till 2.
Okay.
I was going to do it on Friday where I would have had more time, but I think they had something else going on Friday, so I just wanted to reserve it for Saturday. And it'll be from 10 o'clock till 2. I've got 25 books dedicated to this book signing, and once those are gone, then I'll have to order some more. And but I keep some at home. All my books are available on Amazon.
I was about to ask, how can we pick one up? Yeah,
I've written 10 books. They're all on Amazon. I've also got a Facebook page, Soggy Bottom Bookstore.
I like it.
My wife runs a sewing and embroidery shop, and she calls her shop Soggy Bottom Creations Embroidery and Sewing.
That's perfect.
I do a little bit of a metal yard art and things, these little things you put out in your yard in the springtime and all. And it's Soggy Bottom Creations. So I thought, what a fitting name for my bookstore would be Soggy Bottom Bookstore.
Well, Mr. Dewey Edwards, you're a great brain to pick here, and I haven't gotten the full story of the Thomas Mantell UFO chase yet, and I feel like I have now. So I appreciate that very much.
The newspaper accounts that you read, they're pretty. Some of them are accurate. Some of them tell different things. They couldn't exactly agree on how far away from the Williams house this crash was. Some say 150 yards. Some said 400 yards. Some say 500 yards. But they were. The crazy part about that was when he crashed, they sent a crew down from Louisville to more or less secure the scene, and do a preliminary investigation.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that normally does their investigations, they wasn't notified until like 24 hours later.
Wow.
So they had already been there and got this thing so they could possibly cover up stuff, move stuff, who knows.
A lot of time goes past there.
A lot of time,
You don't want to touch the scene of an incident like that. But
one of the local constables, I think, was on the scene that night. He more or less kind of kept the scene, keep rubberneckers on. But they say that when it crashed, everybody from Franklin was out there. So you couldn't even go down the road at all. Roads were completely blocked with cars,
What a crazy eventful day there.
Yeah.
January 7th, 1948. Right. Thomas Mantell Jr.
This death certificate states the cause of death as dislocation of brain.
I've never heard of that before. Dislocation of brain.
Dislocation of brain.
Wow.
It's some kind of condition, like if you was to fall hard or something like that, where your spinal column actually separates from your brain, and that's what happened. I guess that's what. I don't know why I didn't put plane crash or something like that. I don't know. Excuse me.
Well, you're going to cover all that and more in this book. You have covered it, and you say it's your 10th book you've come out with so far?
That's the 10th one.
Cool. Well, I'm going to pick up a copy of this. I'd like to have one here at the station, and maybe we can.
I'll sign you one. Yeah.
I'd love to talk about this again with you one of these days. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
I know you're a big historian in our community, and I think it'd be a cool interview again.
On, several podcasts here lately, and I have my own YouTube channel. It's Cryptids and Critters Paranormal.
Okay, cool.
And
I like the name.
I'm putting a little history articles. It's not all about paranormal and all this. I'm putting history things, some strange murders we had, and it's strange, just strange things that happen in the county, stuff like that. But
Mr. Dewey Edwards, I've appreciated the chat this morning. Appreciate you making the trip up. I've been looking forward to this. James Henry Snyder gave me your number a couple weeks ago, and I knew you had the signing coming up. I was like, this would be a great interview here. So I appreciate you very much. And you're going to be again at the Simpson County History Center this Saturday. Give me the times again.
10 o'clock till 2.
10 to 2. I look forward to it, my friend.
I got 25 books. If you want one, you might want to get there quick, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how they last.
Well, have a great rest of your Wednesday, all right? Happy New Year to you, all right?
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Thank
Absolutely.